Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, when we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
I got to get this lighting fixed. It looks like my wig's coming off. It's weird. Hey, you're listening to the Rundown here, Mike and Craig. And my name is Mike Piwowarski. I am your co-host, the co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, with the co-host with the most. Here on the Rundown, 2A views, conservative news. Craig, it's Taco Tuesday.
It's what?
Taco Tuesday.
You are kidding me already?
Taco.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yum. It's like...
You know, Mike, I got to tell you, it's been more than a few weeks since I have enjoyed Taco Tuesday.
Well, I think I just shook a taco loose from lunch today. So, woo, feeling it right here.
Phenomenal. Well, I'm actually saving my tacos for dinner. So looking forward to it.
There you
I
go.
haven't made up my mind exactly what kind of tacos I'm going to do today.
Oh, you got to go with get some tongue. Get some tongue.
Some what? Tongue tacos?
Tongue tacos.
Oh. I don't know.
kinda,
You know, I have to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm down
Diced
with
meat
eating
tongue.
the tongue. I don't know if I want to taste food that can taste me back.
Well, it's not like tongue. It's not like coming at you. It's all chopped and diced. You know, like you open the taco and it's like, it's not like that. You know?
It's like, I lick you.
I lick you. You think it's good, gringo?
Yeah, no, I've
Not
never
like
had tongue. It's a little harder to get here in Sacramento, but well, let's put it this way. I imagine if I were looking for it, I could find it.
You just got to go to the bodega. You can get it.
Yeah, we don't have
No.
bodegas here.
Okay? You're in California and you don't have Spanish grocery stores.
Yeah, we do have Spanish grocery stores. We just don't call them bodegas.
They are. Well, you're just okay. You just don't call them bodegas because you're not Spanish.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
Well, then go to a Spanish grocery store. You'll be okay.
There you go. Okay. Or
Get
in
you
this
some
case,
tongue,
would be
yeah.
more of a Mexican grocery store.
Well, that is also Spanish culture.
They would disagree. They would say either call it Hispanic or Latin.
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 Oh, Latin.
Right.
Latin.
Latino,
Okay, all right.
Latina. They don't do Latinx. They don't do that. They don't.
There
like
is a if you've ever looked at the hierarchy of Latin and Hispanic cultures,
that.
it's actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it actually it is. But like I said, the thing that I always find funny is how folks on the left want to refer to them as Latinx, and it's like, I think it was, they did a poll and like 3% of Latinos were okay with being called Latinx. They actually prefer Hispanic was actually the preferable term. Then I think it was Latino or Latin was after that, and but Latinx was the most like, what?
Latinx. I've never heard Latinx before. I think that's actually a radio station here in Florida. Yeah, come on down to Latinx.
Probably down in Miami. I would probably guess that's exactly where you'd find it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Latinx Radio.
That's it.
And then some
Hola.
Spanish term, some Spanish phrase right after that.
Yep.
Fun stuff. Hey, folks, do us a favor. However you are paying attention, however you are watching, if you haven't already done so, please make it a point to subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube and on Facebook, make sure that if you're going to subscribe, make sure that you hit that notification button. That way you get notified as soon as we go live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place, because we do like to give you guys some shout outs. We can get a chance to kind of check those messages. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, or I mean on however you get your podcast, because we do have an audio version of this program. make sure, once again, you share it with your friends and tell them that this is the place to go to get 2A news and conservative views.
Yep, Craig. Hey, listen, before we jump into the stories, can we get the sad news out of the way? The sad news.
Yes. I think we should. There's been a rash lately of significant figures in representing or at least portraying members of the Italian American community who have passed on. We had James Caan, who played Sonny, Michael's older brother.
Yep.
In The Godfather. He passed away recently. Ray Liotta from Goodfellas passed recently. Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos passed recently. And I understand, Mike, that we had
Tony Sirico. Tony
Sirico. And I believe we've now had another member of the family has passed away.
Yes. Yeah, Paul Sorvino. From the Goodfellas. That's great. What a great photo right there.
Oh.
That's just remember, he didn't talk. Remember, he only talked to one person. He only talked to one person at a time.
Well, and he did. And then, he's been in a bunch of movies, and he pretty much almost always plays kind of the same role. The big, the mob boss guy, and he just played it so well.
Well, that's why I liked him in Law and Order. Remember, he played in Law and Order, and he played the detective there. He was Detective Sergeant, and did a great job. And then you may not remember this. I thought it was hilarious because he played the baseball manager in Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac.
The guy who barely almost said nothing.
Right. Just like his Goodfellas character, right? He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything except to the bench coach. He only talked to one person, and that one person said everything to everybody else. So that was hilarious to those that knew the character. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dude. I'm telling you that it's it's sad to see him go because once again he was such an icon in Hollywood. I mean, I don't think that character actors get enough credit because in many of these cases, I mean, we have some phenomenal actors who are out there who play a bunch of different roles, but the people who fill in that really make some of these movies once again are the character actors, the people who pretty much play the supporting roles, and they play the same guy or the same person that you just can't see anyone else in that role. So it'll be real interesting to see if we continue to do mob movies. It'll be interesting to see who kind of starts to fill his shoes.
Well, if you look at Hollywood now, it'll be all sorts of transgender and African American Asian people because they're suing, right? Isn't that the deal? Well, why can't we play those roles? Because you're not white, and you're a man, and we're talking about a white man who played the original character. So,
well, Mike, and I'll tell you what's interesting about that, because I agree with you. It's funny because there's certain roles and certain things where it's like, that just doesn't make sense because that's just not. I mean, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit to have a black or a woman or somebody in that particular role. What I will say is that sometimes when they write roles that are specific, well, you have someone and they cast, having, as someone who is an amateur actor, I can tell you it is frustrating when you see a role that you think you would be perfect for, but whoever's doing the casting, they've envisioned someone who doesn't look like you in that role. And there's really if you read the plot of the script, there's really no reason why it couldn't be played by someone of a different ethnicity or someone of a different age.
But there are stories though, there are stories where you audition for it and you change their mind. Right. It's based on your chops, not your looks. But I'm talking more of the roles like when they say, "Oh, why can't an Asian woman play Cleopatra?" Because she wasn't Asian. I don't.
Right there you go. I completely. Matter of fact, I had one role. It was for a movie called The N-Word, where I was literally playing. I actually got cast in a role that was clearly written for a Southern white gentleman, but I did such a phenomenal job that in the audition that they were like, "No, we need you for that role."
Yeah, there you go. Very good. There you go. Congrats.
But yeah, good stuff. So. Hey, just sorry once again. Sorry to deliver the bad news the sorrowful news. But
Yep.
hey, nobody. The important thing to note is nobody gets out of this life alive.
That's right. And Mia, if you're listening, just give me a call. I'll help you through it. No big deal. Paul is a good friend of mine too. I could be there for you.
You are too funny. All right, let's get into today's news. I wanted to lead with this particular story for one reason. And quite frankly, because it was so unbelievably appalling to me. And this is what happens when you wind up when wokeness takes over. And that is that there is a town in North Carolina that recently hired a new city manager. And the city manager made things so unbearable that the police chief and the entire police department, now we're only talking about 5 officers, but the entire police department chose to resign rather than continue to deal with this left-wing progressive town manager. And the point that they were making is basically what she did was she made it a hostile environment. Now, the funny part, Mike, is that this is someone who, by the way, left their last job. Basically, they basically got fired and got sued, or I don't know if she got fired or she left, but she was suing for quote unquote discrimination. Now, one would think that if you have somebody that is that progressive or that bad that they've already sued someone else for discrimination, one would think that you would think twice about hiring that person in your small town, your small North Carolina town.
Yeah, I bet you there's backstory to this. I bet you there's like the HR director and the city manager had an affair and the city's got it out for them. So in order to get back at them, they're going to hire somebody that's already sued other cities because they want to see the city get shafted. There's probably some weird little backstory to this because this is just hard to believe that this is a little town. Craig, and the name of the town slips me. If you could take a look at the name of the town, but this is a little North Carolina town. 5 officers plus the chief. Chief's been there forever, by the way. He's like one of the most respected law enforcement officers in that part of the state. And they hire this person, and the chief, has done the best to shield his officers, but it's ridiculous the amount of woke PC crap that's going on. So they all came in and said, we 2 weeks, we're done, we're out. You get yourself a new police force. Now what'll happen is they'll turn to the sheriff's office and pay them to cover the area for them. But this is something that never should have happened. This is something that, how is it possible that when you do your background check on a person and you don't find out, active pending lawsuits, three agencies before that she's worked for, cities she's worked for, where it's been this woke PC crap. How does that happen? That's something that's preventable.
Oh yeah, no. It is most definitely preventable. But once again, it makes you wonder, how does this stuff happen, right? How do you? There is such a prevalence of, in particular, whether it's in civil service, whether it's in academia, in entertainment, this thing where being woke, being it is above and beyond. It is the number one moral priority for folks on the left. It's like, I have to be sensitive as to how everyone feels based on their race, their gender, and not, okay, we're a law enforcement agency, or I'm a government. My job is to make sure that the government is running smoothly and we're delivering services to the people. That's the job of a town manager, is to make sure that you are providing the services that you're supposed to be providing to the people most efficiently and at as low a cost as possible. That's your job as a town manager, not to make sure that there's equity, not to make sure that people don't feel offended or anything like that. But what you wind up doing is, when you start making that a priority, you wind up offending people who don't fit one of your special categories. Or in some cases, you wind up actually offending those people. Did I say those people? Uh-oh.
Well, and listen, you know what happens here. This is how it works. You know, she comes in. It's probably an all white corner of North Carolina. It's probably 5 all white police officers, or if it's not an all white corner, it's probably still 5 all white officers because those are the only ones that would come in there and work for, you know, $11 or $12 an hour in this small podunk town. And then the chief comes in and wants to change everything. You know, well, we got to go by demographics, we got to go by this, and we're going to have these policies, and that was just enough. You know, there's a way to bring policies into law enforcement and without having them affect enforcing the law. And she's clearly not the person for that. Justine Jones was her name, by the way, and this was the Kenley Police Department there in North Carolina. Oh, by the way, the chief's name, Josh Gibson, one of the not one of the greatest. I'm sorry, he that is his name, Josh Gibson, but it's not the Josh Gibson who is one of the greatest Negro ball players ever from the Negro League era. So
no, but it is quite a coinky dink.
Different guy.
Different guy.
Yeah.
Not that guy. All right, moving right along. Now, in another area, another part of the country, you have a sheriff who, by the way, and I think what I like about this is normally you have some people in law enforcement, in particular leadership in law enforcement, who will be the first to say, yeah, no, you guys, we're going to make sure that, you know, no matter what, do exactly what quote unquote, whatever law enforcement agency is telling you to do, yada, yada, yada. They're going to walk in lockstep. But there's a sheriff who actually came out, and I once again, I really like what he's doing. He's a Washington State sheriff. And I guess there's been a rash of ATF agents going and conducting warrantless gun inspections in his state, and or in his
not
county.
in his state, not in his state.
I'm sorry, in his county.
Not in his county. Not in his county.
Okay.
Not in his county.
Not in his county. All right. Well, anyway,
no.
Remember
we had them happen in. They happened in Delaware recently. Remember we did the story on it.
Yes.
They've been happening. They're happening on the East Coast. That happened in Delaware was where it happened.
Right. Well, he's basically advising his residents. He's saying, look, if ATF agents come conducting warrantless, if they come and they're conducting warrantless searches, you can tell them, or you should tell them, to leave. And I think what he's doing is he's basically telling people what their rights are. In other words, if they come to your home without a warrant, they don't have a right to search your home or to inspect your firearms. Am I correct in the assessment of what he is saying?
Yeah, this is Sheriff Bob Songer there in Cliticat County. Cliticat. I'm not. It's one of the remote counties there up in Washington State. I apologize for getting the county wrong. It's one of them Pacific Northwest Indian names.
Click-a-tat.
Yeah, well, that's what it looks like, right? But
Click-a-tat.
who knows, right? Yeah. He told these. He's trying to educate the folks out there, trying to educate his citizens. Says, listen, when they come to the door, if they don't have that piece of paper in your hand, you have to understand your rights. Now, this is what's called. I guess they've termed it as a warrantless search, right? Well, it's not. There's no warrant. We're not searching anything. Law enforcement would call these knock and talks. You go to the door, you knock on the door, and you have a conversation, and you talk until the person tells you no. Basically, you know, you are relying on their good nature or their state of education when it comes to law enforcement techniques. You know, to have this conversation. Listen, this might be as simple as we heard the neighbor was doing something like this. But these agents we know in Delaware and task force agents came to the door asking to see the gun, asking to see certain firearms. And again, without that piece of paper, you have the right to say no. And listen, if they have probable cause, because there's also this other gray area in between, right? Would you have a warrant? No. Well, guess what? If they have probable cause for something you've done, they don't need the warrant. They can just take you and take the guns because they're in the act of investigating a crime and they have all the elements to make the arrest. So sometimes don't need the warrant to do it, but you don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say lawyer and then walk away. If they say you're still going to jail, good. No, then you still go to jail and you get your lawyer when you get there, but you haven't said anything you didn't want to say. Protect your rights.
Well,
and again, there's so many ins and outs in
right.
law enforcement. You may not know the answer to every question.
Right. Well, and that's vitally important because their job, by the way, is not to protect your rights. I wish it was. They're supposed to
Correct.
protect the constitutional or uphold the Constitution, but in the end, their job is to catch bad guys, and sometimes they
Right.
will do that through trickery, and you have to make
Right.
sure that you protect yourself. And the best way to do that is to make sure that you have legal counsel. So yeah, sometimes it is better to not to just say, you know what, I would feel much better and talk. I would be more than happy to talk with you after I've consulted with legal counsel. When it comes to searching your home, once again, if they say probable cause, well, we're coming in because we have probable cause. You note that because you can then make it clear later if they have in fact violated your rights and they did not have probable cause. Well, now you have a means by which to protect yourself. But if they just ask to come in and you just allow them to come in and you allow them to search, well, then you reduce the amount of protection that you have. And I'm not saying that all law enforcement is. I'm not saying law enforcement is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you got to protect yourself. You can't count on them to protect your rights.
Yeah, because remember, they're trying to protect the community. If they
Right.
believe you're the one that's broken the law, then you're the one that they have targeted to protect the rest of the community by removing you from the community.
Right.
This is not very different than a consensual encounter on the street when you
Right.
go up to a law enforcement officer comes up to you and says, "Hey, let me see an ID," and you go, "No, thank you. Sorry, you have no reason to detain me, no reasonable suspicion. I'm going to continue about my way." It's one of those things. And you see a lot of the crazy the what do they call them, the auditors or whatever, go out there and do that and make cops' jobs difficult for no reason.
Right.
These you just have to understand your rights and know your rights. And again, it's not all blank like TV. It's not all you can say no and it'll be all right. Yeah, if they're maybe they're trying to be nice to you because they have probable cause. They don't want
Right.
to rip you through your door. There's certain different things. Just know that this sheriff up there and many other sheriffs and many other constitutional sheriffs have said we don't want feds coming into our communities enforcing their crooked Second Amendment violating laws. That's the anchor in this story right here that we want you to understand. If you've got a constitutional sheriff that has said we're not letting the feds, this is where the sanctuary counties come in. We will not be cooperating with feds that come to your door and say, "Show us your guns," when they're violating your constitutional rights. That's what this comes down to.
Well, exactly, and especially when the things that they are there to enforce in many cases are still being challenged in court. And just because they have said it does not necessarily mean that they are in solid legal standing. And you don't want to be the person in the middle. You don't want to be the person in the middle of one of those lawsuits. You just don't.
Yep.
So easiest way to say is, and by the way, when you refuse, you don't. I would encourage you not to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be no. You shouldn't be out there like Samuel L. Jackson telling them no. You should be. We should be a little more polite about it. No, thank you. No, thank you. Here's you got my address. Goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd really. I wish I could, but my lawyer would kill me.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, you have a murderous lawyer? Yeah.
No, just
That's
kind
of
once again, a nice way to basically just kind of stand up and say, I really would like to, but I've got to protect myself, and I understand you're doing your job, but I have to do my job in protecting myself. So, yeah.
Here's a quiz for you. How many law enforcement officers are welcome on my front porch right now? Answer 0. Thank you. Can you leave?
Thank you very much. So, hey, Mike, there was a law that was recently passed here in California, right? And it did a number of different things, including allowing firearms manufacturers and retailers to be sued in the event that they should break or violate California law. Well, there's something else that this bill has done that very few people are talking about. And our good friends over at The Reload, Mr. Mark Smith, actually broke down kind of an analysis of this particular law. And one of the things that he noted in this particular law was a trap that there's. So, for example, we know groups like the Firearms Policy Coalition, the Second Amendment Foundation, that spend a significant amount of time suing local agencies or state agencies or even the federal government when it comes to protecting our right to keep and bear arms. Well, one of the things that this law now does is it allows those who are sued, or let me clarify, those who are enforcing not those who are sued. It allows those who are filing these suits against firearms retailers and whatnot to actually recoup legal fees. Well, the other thing that it allows them to do is that when groups like, FPC or the Second Amendment Foundation sue the government, it would allow them to go after those groups in order to recoup legal fees. So
yes.
mind you, the people who are generally suing are already taxpayers of those particular states, right? Taxpayers are already footing the bill, and now they're being asked to pay the bill twice.
Listen, manufacturers of firearms, I know you're covered under PLACA, so the portions of this law that were written directly go against the Federal Protection of Lawful Arms and Commerce Act. So the moment one of you get hit with one of this in California, say thank you, receive the service, walk directly across the street to the federal courthouse and get an injunction to have it quashed, just like that. They cannot file a state approved suit against you when the feds say you're not allowed to do that. It's a 10th Amendment issue. That's just for that small portion, Greg.
Their argument is that, but Mike, their argument is that, well, this covers only federal law, not state law. I don't agree with that argument, but that's their argument.
It's not the way it works. Right. It's not the way it works. But that's why I'm saying you go across the street to the federal courthouse and have them quash the state order, which they can do. They could say, you lack jurisdiction. I'm sorry, California, you don't have jurisdiction. Now, there's other individuals because this California law allows them to go after individuals as well, and PLACA doesn't cover that. So that's when you're going to have to seek out the help of organizations like FPC, SAF, and those types that you've got available to you.
Yeah, the challenge is that this is something that's going to be in place, and it's going to have to be challenged. And the hardest part is that the courts are not going to allow us to be able. It's going to be very difficult to challenge it until someone has actually been sued. Once someone's actually
you have
sued,
to, otherwise you have
right. And the challenge with that once again is going to be how much are they going to have to expend in legal fees before this thing makes its way through the Ninth Circuit up to the Supreme Court? How many people are going to have been put out of business? Because that's the whole goal of this is simply, it's not to win these cases. It is to bury firearms retailers and manufacturers in legal fees, because you've got groups like Everytown, like you got guys like Bloomberg and other billionaires who are kicking money down to these groups so that they can file lawsuit after lawsuit. And that's their whole goal.
Right. And again, just so folks, you understand, you can't just see a bad law and file a lawsuit. Someone has to be wronged or damaged, and there has to be a way to make amends for that in order for a lawsuit to be able to be filed. You can't just file in the blue out of principle.
Actually,
someone has to have been wrong.
Actually, for it to actually be considered, you're correct. But anyone can go file a lawsuit for any reason, even if it's frivolous. Anyone can go file a lawsuit.
Yes. Well, then listen, that's the definition of a frivolous lawsuit is you can go file it, but upon initial reading by the judge, it's going to be dismissed. It doesn't you don't even need an attorney for half of frivolous lawsuits because the judge is going to say it does not meet the standard. So it's
if someone files a lawsuit against you, I'm going to assume that people are going to get an attorney but
that's not true though. That's where a lot of these frivolous lawsuits come from.
You're in a state that is in free America where the courts are actually free. I'm in the state of California, and this is in the state of California where it ain't so free, and the legal system does not necessarily protect you like that.
You're actually in the state too that has the highest per capita of lawyers as well.
Right.
So.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying we're in a different state.
Listen, I'm trying to think at last count. I think there's 3 or 4 law schools in California that are not accredited and only allow you to practice law in California. You know, that's how many lawyers you got getting dumped over there, that the rest of the country has said, no, your law degree don't count over here, no matter how long you've had it in California, because it doesn't meet the standard.
Passing the bar in California is one of the hardest states because there are just so many laws and so many, by the way, nonsensical, stupid laws. I remember when I worked in the legislature.
That doesn't mean passing the bar is hard.
If you stacked up the education code in California, it was 6 feet tall. If you put all the books down, it was 6 feet tall. That's how bad. And that's just the education.
Florida's
code.
is like that too. You know, it's because there's a lot of administrative code and a lot of everything else. California, the most regulated state in the U.S. and has the most capita of lawyers in the U.S. as well.
Bad stuff. Well, anyway, that's where I live. Who knows? Maybe who knows for how long? But we shall see. All right, moving right along.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There's, just to be clear, Craig. There are a couple of different standards. You have to, if you want to see the one where it says lawyers per capita, you've got to look at the one where it says lawyers for legal residents per capita. Then California is the highest.
Okay.
You include the illegals in, you drop down to like 5th place.
Well, they might as well be. I mean, as far as California views it, they're like, if you are in this country illegally, then you are a super citizen, meaning you get more rights and more stuff than if you were just a citizen of California.
It's amazing because when people laugh at so-and-so won the popular vote, and you're like, yeah, California, who cares? It's just, nobody cares what the popular vote is anymore because of California, because we know you're going to add 4 million illegal votes on it at the last minute. You know, 4 illegals voted.
Wish I could say I disagreed. Mike, story about Pat Benatar.
Sir.
You want to share this one with the folks?
Hey, hit me with your best shot. Fire away. All right. Listen, Pat, I guess she's on tour somewhere at your local, liquor stores, maybe. I have no idea where she's actually doing her tour. I mean, I enjoy her music. There's some music out there I don't mind of hers, but I guess she wanted to get involved, Craig, because nobody was paying attention. So when she says her song, "Hit me with your best shot, fire away," she says, in consideration of all the gun violence, she's not performing that song anymore, which is ironic because she wrote the song, and if you've ever read the lyrics and seen the lyrics of the song, it's about a fist fight, between a woman and 2 women, so it's like, I don't know how that becomes gun violence, but evidently she's decided she needs to get her name in the news, so it's here. So I would just recommend to you to watch the Catherine Zeta-Jones version of this song, and you'll enjoy it much more. So
I just think this whole words are violence thing, because by the way, that's all part of the whole social justice leftist things, that words are violence. And so anything that has any sort of a connotation that can possibly be taken by anyone, no matter how stupid they are, as being something that it is not, well, then therefore we have to get rid of that. Like, for example, the whole in computers, you have the master and the slave, right? Nope. Can't have that. I'm wondering if in golf they're going to get rid of the masters, right? They don't use master bedroom anymore.
Oh, that's right. It's the ensuite or whatever the hell it's called.
Hey, it's just, I think it's just so incredibly dumb.
In aviation, we retard the throttle all the time, and I always take heat for that one. Why does your plane say retard in it? It's retard the throttle. Okay, throttle retard, the throttle forward, retard forward.
And it completely and utterly ignores the fact that words have meanings. And just because you're offended by it because you don't know the meaning of the word.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Pat Benatar, Hollywood, what's the term? Shut up and sing?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Shut up and sing.
Catherine
I
Zeta-Jones.
guess you're just not going to be singing that song.
Look up Catherine Zeta-Jones, hit me with your best shot. Watch the video. You won't be disappointed.
By the way, Mike, as we move on to our parting shot, you do know that there is currently a global health emergency, right?
Wait. No, no, there isn't, because I haven't seen Dr. Fakie tell me if there is one recently.
Well, Dr. Fakie has been talking about monkeypox.
What?
The World Health Organization has declared monkeypox spread as a global health emergency. Now, the funny part is, Mike, is that when they talk about monkeypox, they say, well, it mostly spreads through human to human body part contact. Now, what kind of body part contact do you think they are referring to?
Craig, I believe they'd be referring to the hibbity dibbity.
The hibbity dibbity, the funky monkey.
The beast with two backs.
Right, the bump and grind. That's what they're referring to, folks. They're referring to sexual conduct, right?
Yes.
And the reason why they won't refer to it as that is because it appears to be spreading fastest within the gay / and transgender, within the LGBTQ community. Now, that's not to say that's any worse or any better than anything else in the other community, but the point is that if you are out there having promiscuous sex, you increase your chances of contracting monkeypox. And I don't know why the government won't just say that.
Maybe they don't want to cause a sex scare. Maybe they don't want to offend LGBTs. And listen, LGBT is such a broad thing, Craig. It's probably going to be something more like this specific group of LGBT, right, that it's going on with. But because they're incompetent, mostly, is probably right, the answer.
Yeah, all I want to know is like, look, if there's something that I can do to reduce the likelihood of catching it, tell me. I won't be offended. Just tell me so that I can avoid that.
Well, listen, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but I know I've been steering clear of monkeys. I'm not going near any right now. No idea if that's an origin, if they spit on you and you get the monkeypox. I have no idea, but I'm steering clear of monkeys right now.
It sounds like a plan. Now, we got one more. Now, this is one, and this is kind of interesting because this is on the other side, because instead of actually just putting the information out there so that people can make informed decisions, this particular meme is more along the lines of, well, they're trying to influence behavior by promoting a scare. And this is CNN be like, here we have a picture of Edgar J. Hoover standing next to the first 223-556 round manufactured in Sweden. Mike, you want to tell our podcast listeners what is so humorous about this particular image?
Yeah, that's it's probably it looks like an 18-inch naval gun that's about 2,000 pounds. It looks like the round from our big battleships. So it looks like a 2,000-pound 18-inch round from our battleships.
Yeah, folks. Once again, if you were listening to or watched any of the assault weapons ban hearings, you would swear that these are like mini nuclear weapons that are available to civilians. This is the civilian nuclear round that is available. Yes. The lung blower outers
from Anniston Armory today.
The head exploders. Let's not forget those.
Yes. The lung blower outers.
The lung blower outers. Anyway. But this is what Democrats think firearms are. So I just figured, those who know and are watching the show, you know why that's funny. And those of you who don't, right, find out, please, so that you don't fall into the same trap that some of these Democrats have. All right.
Yes, sir. Do it.
We're at that point, Mike. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Let's say hey to our good friends at Guerrilla Machining. I'm going to start the other end today. Guerrilla Machining. We've got Grid Defense, the California Republican Assembly, and uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Their links to their websites are in the description to this video or this podcast. Please make sure to visit them. I promise you will like what you see there, and you will want to spend some money with them or donate some money to them. Whatever it is, make sure you tell them that the guys over at the Rundown sent you. with that, we're going to call it a show. We'll be back tomorrow on, what? Tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow's another special day, isn't it? Hump
It
day.
is. It's the day after Taco Tuesday.
Day after Taco Tuesday, which is always an interesting day. Anyway, folks, we will holler at you tomorrow. You guys take care.